Hey, fun people! Welcome back to Everything Aja. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Aja. Here on Everything Aja, I help parents and even homeschool parents help make teaching reading manageable. So I help you manage all of the different aspects of your reading instruction by making reading as fun, simple, and systematic as possible. So I welcome you to our Chat It Up Saturdays. Woo! Here on Chat It Up Saturday, we love to talk about hot educational topics. We go over gossip, facts, we look at statistics, everything in between, and we talk about it. It's the place where your voice can be heard. So, welcome. If this is your first Chat It Up Saturday, let us know down below in the chat box. If you're a newbie, welcome. We love to have your input. With Chatted Up Saturday, this is for you. So you also have the ability to come up with your own hot educational topics that you want to talk about. So we welcome you today. Our hot topic is talking about, are teachers doing too much? Is there too much on our plate? Are we expected to do too much? There in the image, you see shared reading, read alouds, data, fluency, intervention, progress monitors, EIP, grades, science reading, IEP, small group, all of that and everything in between. So that is our hot topic today. Are teachers actually doing too much? Good morning. Say good rising, everyone. Welcome. So we are just coming off of a entire week where we have been live here on YouTube. It was our first 5-day challenge. Let me know down in the chat box if you were live with us or maybe you were a replay watcher. We certainly welcome you as well. This week we talked about how to get children to actually want to read during the independent time, how to create a print rich environment in order to increase vocabulary skills, how to get kids excited to read, motivating them, the whole child, their mind, body, and soul, into falling in love with reading. We also talked about how to set up our classrooms for guided practice and how to create a data driven instruction. You said you were, whoop, whoop. So if you haven't already, make sure you catch up on that classroom setup series. It was absolutely amazing. We ended it last night at 7 o'clock. I know that y'all are the real MVPs. Y'all literally kept it going even on Saturday night with me. So I'm so appreciative of that. And look, you woke up on Sunday to join me again. I mean, not Sunday, Saturday to join me again. So I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you, everybody that was on, watched the replays, etc. You said, good morning, beautiful people. I love it. Well, today's chatted up topic is, are teachers doing too much? Maybe you have heard a thing like, oh, there's never too much, or maybe you feel overwhelmed, there has been too much on your plate. This is our chance to talk about it, and let's just go over the actual requirements of a teacher. Right? But before we do that, not everybody knows who I am. So let me just tell you a little bit about me and my teaching history. My name is Aja. I do have my educational specialist degree. I am currently an educational consultant helping teachers. So I give professional developments in schools, and I also help homeschool parents as well. Here on YouTube, I help both teachers and homeschool parents help make reading manageable. And I also do the same thing as I go into schools and help the schools do the exact same thing. I have been a kindergarten through fifth grade curriculum specialist, meaning I have been the administrator over all teaching and learning K through 5 for the last 6 years. And so that's everything on the teaching and learning, I was the master of, not was, but am. But that's what I was doing the last 6 years before becoming an educational consultant. I've spent over the last 10 years in Title I schools, both as an administrator and as a Title I teacher. I have my reading endorsement. I'm certified in Orton Gillingham. I'm certified in correcting and diagnosing mathematics and reading behaviors. Woo! So that's a little bit of my resume. So you know who I am, I'm interested now in knowing a little bit about you. So before we get into our teachers actually doing too much, let me know, what is your name, what do you teach, and what is on your plate? What are you expected to do? The expectations of a teacher does vary place to place and teacher by teacher. You can have teachers in the same school. What's expected of them may vary. So let us know what's on your plate. What is it that you are expected to do? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am so glad to see y'all again this Saturday morning. Good morning. Yeah, see, I woke up, did my hair for y'all, put on some makeup for y'all. I was so excited to talk about this topic. This week has been absolutely amazing chatting with you guys and doing the 5 day challenge. So I thank you guys for being live there and even woke up and joined me again. So even as homeschool mom, okay, what is expected out of you as a homeschool mom? You can still answer the question, what is on your plate? Because believe it or not, even though you might not be in a school, a lot of the same expectations are expected out of you. You just don't have the politics, right? That's the great thing about homeschooling. You don't have the politics with it. There's nobody like sitting there breathing down your throat. But as far as what you're expected to balance, that kind of is the exact same as a teacher. Good morning, Charlie. Said good morning, good morning. I'm so glad to see you on our Chat It Up Saturdays. So right now we're just kind of talking about what is on our plate and what are we expected to do. Sometimes we add more on our plate than what's expected out of us. For example, I don't know if anybody does any extracurricular activities or they lead any extracurricular activities. I know I've worked in different schools. In one school, they required us to be on at least one committee. Another school, it wasn't required, but naturally we kind of did. I know personally, I was always over step team, and I kind of just volunteered for things that interest me, right? So those are things that we might add to our plate, but they're not necessarily expected out of us. So let's just break down this topic. Made me just go back to a typical teacher job description. Like, what is it that a teacher is expected to do? A teacher is let me just catch y'all up where I got this information from. So if you go to Google, you just type in a teacher job description. There's so many different job descriptions come up, and a lot of them say the exact same thing. But I like this one site I found called Better Team, and that website, the way it defined everything, kind of like made it, put everything together. So a lot of all of the definitions that I'll be using in the descriptions came from there because I just like the way they had it worded and beautifully laid out for us. All right, so let's go back to it. All right, so a teacher job description. It said that a teacher is responsible for preparing lesson plans, educating students at all levels. Their duties include assigning homework, grading tests, documenting progress. Teachers must be able to instruct in a variety of subjects and reach students with emergent lesson plans. So that is the definition according to Better Team. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or sounds pretty, broad, of course, because the job description can be so detailed. But overall, you're planning lessons for students' needs according to their levels. So that is the job description. And so y'all can let me know your comments down below. But as far as job requirements, now if you're a homeschool mom, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, there's a few things you have to do with the state, but not necessarily like go to school like a teacher would. But for a teacher to become a teacher, you have to have a bachelor's degree in teaching or a relevant field. You also have to have a minimum of 2 years experience as a teacher. So, of course, that's your student teaching, that's your practicum. Now that most schools have this teacher shortage and they're bringing in teachers that aren't necessarily certified, they're using those beginning years as those 2 year requirements. And that's how they're kind of getting around there. They're making that their 2 years of experience. Also, in-depth knowledge of teaching methods are legal educational procedures. So a lot of times when you're in college, you're kind of doing all that together. Outstanding written and verbal communication skills, well organized with excellent leadership abilities because you're leading your flock. You are literally leading the flock in your classroom. And last but not least, exceptional interpersonal and presentation skills. Sorry. And so literally what I'm doing right now is technically a presentation. It's a lesson. So that is the technical requirements of becoming a teacher. And I just want to like really look into one thing is the degree. So in order to have a bachelor degree, you have to go to college for at least 4 years. 2 years are your general classes, and the other 2 years will be your educational classes. Most colleges and most colleges for the most part, those during those 2 years of your educational classes, you are doing some sort of student teaching or practicum. You're kind of in the classroom getting your toes wet, and that becomes your 2 years so that when you're out, you are ready and equipped with everything that we just stated. You know how to give a presentation, you know how to do lessons, you know all that. But nothing, and I mean nothing, can prepare you for the real world. Um, Somebody said she's from Alabama. I don't know why that just came out so country. I said Alabama. She's a virtual teacher responsible for planning, teaching, recruiting, conferencing, counseling with parents, and lastly, entertaining and planning virtual field trips. Love it. So those are your requirements as a teacher. That's what's on your plate. Thanks for sharing that. That still sounded like a lot, a lot. Oh, right, and keeping parents interested in the program. I like that. So you definitely want to keep them in your virtual program. I love it. I love it. Well, what are some of the responsibilities? The requirements just allowed us to get into the field. So every teacher is required of all of the things I just stated, right? And so now, as far as your actual responsibility, these are the day-to-day things that you are typically expected to do. So even if you're not teaching, in the classroom, or maybe you teach a special field, I want you to look at it almost like an umbrella because I would love to know your input, especially if you are, a homeschool mom. And I want you to look like, oh, is that too much? Like, are teachers required to do too much? Maybe this is what has led to so many teachers to leaving because we're asking them to do too much and there's no appreciation for it. So I just want you to look at the daily responsibilities of a teacher. So the first thing, and I'm sorry, it's a little, is developing and issuing educational content, including notes, tests, and assignments. So that's your lessons, right? So that teachers are responsible for developing, giving, they should might as well just put in grading, tests, assignments, notes, etc. Supervising classes to ensure all students are learning in a safe and productive environment. So that's the classroom environment aspect of all students. That the classroom needs to be a place full of a place where kids feel safe, that they're able to take risks without any remorse. Teachers also should be able to organize supplies and resources for lectures and presentations. Makes sense. You can't teach a lesson if you haven't prepared for it. Delivering personalized instruction to each student by encouraging interactive learning. So this is that differentiation piece that teachers are literally required to do that for every single child. And for some teachers, I know here, you can see classes of 32 in elementary school, especially like in fourth and fifth grade, that you can have 32 kids in a classroom and you're expecting that teacher to make personalized instruction for every single one of those children. Hey, That's a part of the teacher responsibility. All right. Next thing, teachers are required to plan and implement educational activities and events. So, like you were just talking about virtual field trip, that's an event, activity. You guys know what that is. That might be a project, an experiment, etc. Ensuring your classroom is neat and orderly. It needs to be in a clean place. Nobody likes to go to school with like dirt. Ew. Preparing and distributing periodic progress reports, semester report cards. And I also kind of want to throw in like parent communication in that, reporting where a child is versus where they should be to the parent, whether that be a progress report or a report card. Going to parent teacher meetings, that's required as well. Evaluating and documenting students' progress. So not only are you supposed to teach every single child based on their needs in your classroom, you also are required to evaluate and document every single child's progress. And for those of you guys that were on last night when we were talking about a data driven classroom and data driven environment, we talk about literally progress monitoring. And I told y'all it is impossible to progress monitor everything. But according to this, you know, that I mean, it didn't say everything, but you know, that is important as far as the progress monitoring piece. And then last but not least, allocating and grading homework, assignments, and tests. So those are all the things, according to Better Team, that teachers are responsible for. Going down to the chat box. You said yes, girl. Yes, Charlotte. Yes, that differentiation piece, I feel like a lot of times can be a little bit unrealistic, especially if you have 32 kids and you have a very limited amount of time, but you're expected to do so much, right? You're expected to individually teach every single child at their needs. And it's all on you. You are mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, counselor, all the other roles. Hello, let's add that in there. And then you need to teach them lessons according to where they are. It can be certainly a lot. And a lot of times, what ends up happening is teachers put so much into their classroom and their students that they forget about themselves. So that makes us, I want y'all to kind of think about that as we go over this. And then I'm going to eventually ask, is this too much? Like, is this unrealistic to really expect out of someone? And so I just want you to keep that in mind because hey, we're putting all that together. Woo woo, South Carolina fourth grade teacher. Hey, Keisha. there's that upper grades right there. Evaluate and document absolutely with all the exclamation points that we're required to evaluate and document. And so then I kind of like put this in my own words, my own terminology of what I feel like teachers are responsible for. Whole group lessons, small group differentiated lessons. And differentiation, in case you've never heard that term before, that just pretty much means customized or individual lessons or activities to fit a child's needs. So if you have a child that is either below or above the grade level, expectations, then their assignments or activities need to either be above or below. There we go. And so then you have interventions and progress monitoring. Now, we're not even going in detail with RTI, social emotional learning, our English language learners, students that might be labeled as having disabilities, kids with 504 plans. You have all of that you have to take into account as you're providing interventions and progress monitoring for every single child, in addition to the small group differentiated lessons that you're doing for both reading and math. Hello, elementary teachers. And all of that you're required to do on a daily basis, right? In addition to all the whole group lessons. Then after school, after your contract hours, there may be faculty meetings and events. Do I have anybody that has to go to a lot of school-wide events? I love my daughter's school, but I have never seen so many events. Like already they had a going back to school bash that was on a Sunday, teachers had to go to. They then had open house. They then had, I thought it was curriculum night. We came in as parents, the teachers had to outline exactly what was expected out of them this year. in addition to open house, because we already kind of did that in open house. And now we just got a flyer for them to have curriculum night. I'm like, this is a lot for teachers to do outside of contract hours. They're having a fall blast. I'm like, we just have to go back to school blast. Like, I love it. I love it as a parent, but I can only think about the teachers. And I just keep complaining to my mom. I'm like, they are expecting their teachers to do a lot outside of contract hours. Now, I don't know if they have some kind of reward. They might have Gene Day, get out of school early day. I don't know if they have some kind of incentive with their parents, I mean, with their teachers. I just know as a parent I like it, but as a teacher I would hate it. That is a lot. I thought I was used to do a lot of events. I have anybody that does a lot of after school events, but that's a part of what's expected. You said, and then guilty of neglecting self. Come on now. Yes, we then feel guilty when we put ourselves in the equation, and we get so caught up in putting the children first, putting our job first, and this is something that a lot of educators do. And if you're feeling like that, I'm here to tell you you're not alone. That so many educators do that, and that's what's been the leading cause of burnout. I have been there time and time again where I lost myself from teaching, like literally. And he said IEPs, absolutely, absolutely. And so all of that's in there. School-wide initiatives. Let's not neglect the politics in teaching. That if a superintendent comes and tells the principals they want to start implementing something in the schools, and the principal has to do that, and now guess what? You have to do it. And that work falls down on the teacher every single time. It never fails. The work really falls down to the teacher. So school-wide initiatives are something that are required out of you. Grades, homework, parent support, and parent communication all falls under you. Behavior management, because we cannot neglect behavior management, is something that teachers are also expected to deal with. No matter the child, you are expected to deal with them, and all of the everything that else that really comes with it. The disruptions, the files in the classroom, all of that good stuff is all on you. Assessments and so much more. Assessments, I remember there was one year where I feel like I assessed kids so much. One, never had time to look at the data. I was just testing the test. Has anybody ever been there? You feel like you're just testing the test, but it was because of the politics, the school wide initiatives, the superintendent stating that they wanted data on all of this stuff, and you guys already had a system out school wide, a system that worked, and now here's all this other things that have to get added to it, and who's all the work fall on? The teacher. So it brings me to a very direct question that I want everybody to give me their 2 cents on. But before this, let me answer this question. You said you're attending tremendously less meetings, good, and extracurricular events, but do offer family night once per month. Once per month, that's good. That I could do that. I could do once per month. But I mean, I love it as a parent. But as a parent, I'm like, whoa, they offer a lot. But as a teacher, who I would be going crazy, going crazy. So the question is, this is the question. Dun, da, da, da. Is this too much? Are we asking teachers to do too much, or is this what it takes? I'm gonna let that sink in. Is this too much on a teacher's plate, or is this what it takes to truly make a difference? Let me know. And it'd be interesting to see all my teaching by design members what you guys say to this. Because I'm all about teaching smarter, not harder, preventing burnout. So this is a very interesting topic. Is this too much to be expecting a teacher to do? Is this too much that teachers are required to do day in and day out? Is this too much selflessness that teachers literally walk in the door doing? Or is this what is expected because this is what it takes to make a difference? Let me know all the lesson planning that you've done, all of the weekends that you've had to sacrifice doing something on Sunday nights because you were doing lesson plans, all the weekdays that you were sacrificing because you had to do grades. Where are all my people that wait until the last second before report cards to grade stuff from 6 weeks ago that you never looked at and you're wondering why your kids failed? Hello, where are all those teachers at? Is this too much? Are we asking too much of teachers? Or are we under the assumption that this is what it takes to make a difference? And going into the profession, it's just required out of you because you should know that this is what it takes. It's a really like catch 2020 topic when I think about it. Like, hmm, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm like, I'm interested to know what you guys are saying because, like, when I think about it, it's like it does take data driven instruction. So there's assessments, but it doesn't take a million assessments. You get what I'm saying? It does take differentiation, but expecting somebody to do differentiation on every single child for every single skill for every single standard is unrealistic. It does take a balance of it all, right? But to what expense? Like to where's the line? Where do we draw the line? Where is the line? You know? And so it makes me think, what is acceptable? And let me know what you guys say. What is acceptable? What do we accept as educators and parents that a teacher's role should be? If we were to rewrite the job requirements of a teacher, what would they say? What is acceptable for being on the plate of a teacher? And where is the line? Like, is there a line? Maybe I'll say, hey, there doesn't need to be a line. You signed up for it, just like a doctor signs up to be on call for all given hours. A teacher signs up for that too. Maybe that's what your beliefs are. I'm just interested to know, is there a line? And if so, where is the line? Where do we draw the line? If you think about it, even going back to the doctor analogy, doctors are expected to give selflessness and selflessly day in and day out. And you also see a lot of doctors going burnout and even committing suicide because of it. So, there is, I feel like there is a line of what we expect out of these type of professions that are naturally giving professions that we need. We need doctors, we need teachers in order to have a growing society. But if we do not create some sort of line, some sort of drawn line between what is acceptable and what's too much, then we're going to lose the entire profession altogether. So it's just interesting to see what you guys think. You said you always felt teachers had too much on them as a parent. So even I think this is good because, like I said, as a parent, I liked it, but I could only imagine what the teachers would go through. You said the same thing. Like you can look from a parent perspective, like it seems like too much, right? Like this is too much out of them. So there we go. We have a parent perspective saying that's too much on teachers. That's too much. So it makes me think as a parent, I know you're willing to do more. I already know. But as a parent, what do you feel like should then come on the parenting side? I feel like for me personally, a little bit of the differentiation could then be brought on the parents' plate. I, I said it. I said it. You can quote me, but it can. Like, and some parents, a lot of parents, especially working with parents, being an administrator really showed me that parents do want to help. A lot of times, as teachers, we think that they don't want to help. It's not that they don't want to help. Parents just don't know how to help their children. And so you said we all need to come together. Absolutely. And a lot of the pressure that teachers feel, we don't even realize the power of delegating is strong. Every business owner says the key to growing and the key to scaling a business is delegation. And the same with a teacher. Everything doesn't need to be on your plate. You may not be able to have a teacher a parent come in and help you grade, but you can certainly have a parent come in and help you put up a bulletin board. You can certainly have a parent come in and lead a small group. You could certainly have a parent just create virtual lessons and give those virtual lessons to your struggling students so that they can just catch up. They can go on Nearpod and do that. If not, if you don't know how Nearpod works, I have a full Nearpod tutorial of how to actually create Nearpods and use Nearpods that are already done. Nearpod is free. Hello, why not use a free resource? But you can certainly start delegating some of those tasks to your parents. They want to help, especially if they know it's going to benefit their child. All of the differentiation, how I said you could kind of put some of the differentiated tasks back on the parent. So, for example, I know last night in the data driven instruction training, I went over the iReady assessment. And with that assessment, every time a child takes an assessment, they give them interventions. If they're not on or above grade level for a particular standard, it'll give you an intervention, like which is a small group, a one-to-one lesson that you can do with that child. Guess who can do it? The parent. You can easily give that lesson plan to the parent and say, hey, I really need your help. Tommy is a little bit behind when it comes to comprehending main idea. This is a lesson that you can do with him at home. Can you please do this with him and then bring me the ending result or something like that, and allow them to take on that piece. You will be surprised how far children can go once their parents buy in. And once you are on the same page with your parents and you realize this is a team, that you guys are on the same team, they just didn't know how. If they don't know what to do, they'll never be able to help you, right? You said exactly, absolutely. Okay, Keisha, you said that would work for professional parents. Yes. Now, parents that think it's not their job to teach their child anything, it won't work. Great, 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 great 2 cent. Let's talk about this and dissect this, and y'all let me know if you agree with Keisha. I see Charlotte is saying facts. I agree with that. Yeah. So let's clarify this. This does work with professional parents, and believe it or not, there are some parents that are in the middle of what we're talking about. So I think you're on one extreme and you're thinking that this only works on the other extreme. What I'm talking about is the professional parents and the parents in between. There are parents that you might have only seen once because they're working parents. There's a thing called working parents, and those parents have time on the weekend. Those parents are the parents that their kids kind of might just fly by, don't really have behavior issues. You might not be talking to them, as often, but they are willing to help. They just didn't know you need their help. Now, the parents that think it's not their job to help, typically, and I'm sorry, you're right, it won't work for those parents because um there is no joint. They don't see it as a village, and it takes a village to raise a child. And what ends up happening, unfortunately, those children are typically the children that are really behind. And in order to catch those children up, then it becomes more on the teacher. But what ends up happening is burnout, and I do not want you guys to be burned out. So what you could do, these are just a few little things that are popping up in my head. You can do things like asking them to literally, if they have means to come early or stay late, and you tutor them if you want to. You can do lunch and learns with those students, because a lot of times those students are your struggling students. I mean, it's sad to say, but the ones without the parental support are the same ones that are struggling. But like we're talking about our teachers doing too much. If you offer that, that's something else that's on your plate, right? And so unfortunately, you can do as much as you can do, but I don't want you to lose yourself doing it. That makes sense, because it's not going to do your children any good if they have a teacher that's burned out. It's not doing them any good if they have a teacher not taking care of themselves. It's not going to do them any good if you run yourself too thin and now you're in the hospital. That doesn't do anybody any good. So unfortunately, you can offer the same support to those parents, but they'll see eventually. I mean, I'm just being honest. They're going to always see eventually. They'll see when the progress reports come out. They'll see when the report cards come out. Do have anybody experienced those type of parents that wait all the way until like the last 2 weeks of school and then want to know if there's anything extra the child can do? And you're like, I've been contacting you all year. All year. And unfortunately, it's so sad to say, because I know we want to save every single child, but realistically, it's safe to know that it takes a balance. And in order to have that balance, some things you have to learn, like, okay, what is worth your mental health? If it's too much to chase down a parent that doesn't want to help, like where we talked about, where is the line? Where do you draw that line? What is actually acceptable? If you've reached out and you've documented that you've called a parent 20 times in a month and they've never responded, I say you've done your part, ma'am. Pat yourself on the back, keep it pushing. And give those, it's the same way with kids. When you have, buying in with children, you have these kids that don't want to learn or hate learning, and you have these kids that are actually trying. Naturally, if you try, what you put into something is what you're going to get out. All right, you say, yes, that drives me nuts. Okay, I gotta tell y'all a little story real quick. A little story. You said it's so true. When Keisha said it, it just reminded me of my brother. So I have a brother, okay? Right now, he just turned 21. I love my baby. Love him. But he's the true definition of no child left behind. Okay? True definition. True definition. So let me tell you about when he was in high school. He realized that the teachers don't want you to fail. Why? Because it's more work on them. And so what he would do, he wouldn't do his homework. He would barely, I mean, like he was that student. He wasn't gonna be behavior. He's not, he's no behavior issues, but he's just not doing any work. Period. Right. And I never forget, like, going into senior year, being in, his senior year, I'm like, you have to do better, babe. Like, these grades are unacceptable. Like, why are you failing? Why do you have all these missing assignments? You go to school every day. And he was like, man, I just gonna do them at the last second, give them to my teacher. I'll get credit for them. They're not gonna fail me. And I'm like, yeah, okay. You have a 60 in this class. Why do you have a 60? You're smart. What are you doing? He's like, it's boring. Like, it doesn't really matter. They weren't really challenging him. So he was just coasting and not doing work. Literally not doing work. Would come home, play video games, etc. And the moment before like the semester of his graduation, he had like 60s and 70s in every one of his classes. And I was just like dying. I mean, dying as his older sister. Like, I'm like, I had straight A's and everything. What are you doing? What are you doing? And he goes, I keep telling you, they're not going to fail me. I've been doing this for 4 years. All you do is turn in all the work at the very end. They give you credit and then you pass. He was like, it doesn't matter what I want. You're not going to need a high GPA to do. So I just need the degree. What's the point of doing the work if they're going to pass me anyways? And I was like, you are the true definition of a child who has learned the loopholes and no child left behind. But I guess just to tell him, if I was your teacher, I would be going nuts every time. The very last 2 weeks of school, he brings the teacher a whole stack of all his missing assignments. It's not that he couldn't do it. He just didn't feel like doing it because he knew that they were going to accept it at the last minute. That is, oh my goodness. And that would be a great topic to just talk about the no child left behind that. Like, is it working or does it actually hurt our children? Because he understood the loopholes. Understood the loopholes. All right, back to the comments. She said, yeah, too much. However, your parent volunteers were helpful, but even they have to be supervised. Absolutely. That's what I said, stuff that they could do. Realistically, that they could do. Every teacher needs an assistant teacher. Oh, I would love that. And an executive assistant. Absolutely. And a higher salary. Absolutely. Bro, can we nominate Bonnie for to be over education for all of the nation, absolutely. I think if teachers just had an assistant, even schools that are fortunate to have like a para for the grade levels, it seems like only lower grades have paras. Upper grades need paras too. In fact, actually, I've always been pro upper grades. They need assistants too. Like, I know back in when I was teaching fifth grade, we used to have a parent volunteer. All she wanted to do was copies. She was like, I can come and do copies. Especially like Keisha, you work at a Title I school. I would ask, there are a lot of times there are a lot of parents that don't work. Like, they don't have like 9 to 5s. And they could come in and just do your copies for you. Of course, you just got to be organized, telling them on what page, but they can do copies. They can do like stuff like that so that you don't have to, so that is off your plate. You should say he should have a 0. I feel like he should have. He learned what to do, man. I just turn it in those last 2 weeks. They gonna grade it. They don't. When he said they don't want me to fail because that's more paperwork for them, I was like as a teacher, you're right. Absolutely. That's what I would do out of teachers. I'm like, you know how much work it is to fail a child? And then you have to come against like your board and all that other stuff within your district, and it was too much. So you're gonna do whatever you can to get that child to pass, and that was him. He just learned the loophole. He learned it, and he specialized in it. Okay, you said you have kids in special classes, okay, and you always wanted to help their teacher with your kids, but no feedback from them. I would like, maybe they don't know how to delegate. You know, I was just talking about a lot of teachers don't know how to delegate. So as a parent, if you're willing, and able to do it, maybe you have to take the initiative just a step farther and actually give them some ideas. But just like we're talking about, like, I can come and make copies for you. I can come and help you, around in your classroom if you need to. I can do, like, maybe they need ideas. They probably don't even realize that there's some of that stuff that they can delegate. You can create digital lessons on the computer that they can assign to different children. Like, we don't know how to delegate, and there's so many people that don't know the power of delegating, but it would truly help lighten the load and prevent burnout. So I would tell you to just maybe give them some of these ideas, and maybe it will trigger something inside of them to say, oh yeah, you're right. Yes, I do need help with copies. Can you do that? Oh, that would be wonderful. And because sometimes it is, they, a lot of teachers don't like parents like in the classroom. I don't know if I have anybody in here that's like that. Like, it's just extra eyes. You're like, are they spying on me? Like, they don't know what their motive is. So sometimes like they're like freaked out about it. But if you kind of give them some of those ideas, like the copy machine isn't in your room, and it does save teachers a lot of extra time. The like creating like digital lessons on like Nearpod and stuff that you could just give the teacher that code. You could do that at home. You're not in the classroom. And so a lot of times teachers don't realize the power of delegating. And if they have a parent like you that's willing to do it, maybe you just have to take the initiative and give them some, sprinkle some little ideas. Say, hey, I was listening to everything after this weekend, and she was talking about helping out as parents here. I'm willing to do XYZ. I would do that, and hopefully they're open to it. You say you have parents that have actually made a statement saying their child does it at home. I can't do anything. Oh my goodness, I hate the whole my child. Okay, when you say that, so when I hear that, I think of the parent that's always like, "Oh, my child does it at home and they don't do it at school." Um, or they do everything at home perfect. Like when they teach their child, absolutely is perfect. Or their child does no wrong, it's perfect. That's what I'm thinking when you say that, because I have had that happen to me. Like, for example, oh, my baby just went and had her formative, diagnostic assessment. And it came back, and I can't even lie. A few of the parts I was a little upset about, because I'm like, she knows that. Um, and I was like, it depends on how the teacher said it. Like, for example, she showed her oval, so she got it wrong because she said it was a zero. Well, oval and a zero look the exact same. So did you say that this is a shape, or did you say that this was a number? And of course, I don't want to check her teacher on it, but I'm like, you just counted her wrong. Like if a kid did that to me, like, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing flashcards, and they said zero instead of oval, I would say, baby, this is a shape. Do you know what shape it is? Not what number it is. That extra sentence would have triggered her memory, like, oh, you're right, it's an oval. So that's what I'm thinking when you say that. But let me know. I could be completely wrong. Could be completely wrong, Charlotte. You correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, I know those parents that they think that they can teach better than you can. Hello, they can do it better than you can, and they it's almost like they work against you because you're trying to tell them, what their child needs, and then it comes back, and it, those type of parents that are like trying to be overly involved. I mean, they become too much work than it's worth, and that's just where we are with that one. You said check her. Kids need clarification. Okay, you're with me. You're with me, Keisha. I'm like, you are dinging my child. And depending on what it looks like, even the font on like flashcards and stuff, we have to be cognizant of, because they can look like different things. Like, for example, the letter A, of course, properly it's a circle with a line, but a lot of other fonts have it like this. So if a child doesn't know both ways, you can't ding them because they don't know that that's an A. Like all those type of things are, I do have a few more degrees, not saying like that makes me, smarter than another person, but like I've taken a lot of those, child psychology classes and all those type of classes, and then getting my reading endorsement. Like now I see things in a different light, and I'm like, it could be the print, not necessarily if the child doesn't know it, but this print is a little different. So maybe if I switch up what it looks like, then I'll actually know if the child does not actually know that letter or if it's the print. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm glad you're with me, girl. I'm glad you're with me. Where were we? Where were we? Okay. He said pre and post planning needs to be just that and not PD time. Woo, okay. You might be answering this question. So hold on, let me say this and then show your comment. So my next question was about to be, how do we go from feeling like too much is on our plate, feeling like teachers just have too much on their plate, that teachers are burned out? How do we go from that to actually having effective, data-driven instruction where teachers are able to have a teach work life balance, that we're able to get off the clock and have regular lives just like every other profession? Just because we are in a selfless profession doesn't mean that we put ourselves last, but it just means that there needs to be a balance. So how do we close that gap? All right. Bonnie said that pre and post planning needs to be just that, not PD time. I love it. Actually, time for teachers to dive into how they're going to plan for their children. Love it. Most teachers classroom prep time at the start of the year barely exists, and then you end up completing setup after hours for the rest of the week. Absolutely. And that falls more on administration and district policies. There are so many things that as a district you're required to do. But then it's like a lot of administrators like have to value your summer vacation, but like I do feel like maybe teachers need to get more time. Like it's not enough time. That means more money. More money has to come, because you're right, there's not enough time. But being an administrator, I know that there's a lot of district requirements that you have to tell teachers during pre and post planning. So, catch 22, then there needs to be more funding to have more days available for teachers to really plan and set up for student success. One thing that we're doing here in my district, since the pandemic, is we've been doing what are they called? They call them something. Professional learning days. That's what they call it. So that so many teachers don't have to like find subs, because there aren't any subs right now. Let's be real. So there are days where kids are online and you have asynchronous lessons. So I saw this meme, y'all, real quick. I saw this meme like this morning, and it said, "Teachers are the only profession where taking off requires more work than actually coming in." It's so true. Taking off requires more work than if you were to just come in and teach the kids yourselves. But that going back to this, with the asynchronous day, you have to literally create lessons that kids would be doing at home on their own, but then that day can actually be used as professional development. So that's what they're doing here in my district to kind of help close the gap, and get children, I mean, not children, but give teachers the time they need to do professional development so that it doesn't interfere with, after hours or prep time. All right. Charlotte said you guys have a parent liaison and you have a pair. Oh, dean. Whoa, a pair of dean. Ugh, for extra parents to help in the building. I love that. I've never seen that, Charlotte. So that's good. That means somebody higher up understands the power of delegation and how that can actually help burnout. So appreciate it. Appreciate that. Because that's rare. That's really rare. That means you guys have help. I know I've seen it in I've seen it in, I was in another building that was not a Title I building, and they had more willing parents, and they actually had a parent in each room, and that parent kind of served as the para. And then those parents got together. They had like lunch for them. The school would do lunch for them once a month. It was really nice. I was like, this system is really nice. So it seems like that's really similar to how your school might be doing it. All right, Keisha says she used to be a Montessori teacher. She learned how to allow the advanced children to help with lessons. They can work with the average kids, and I could focus on the struggling kids. Let me give you my 2 cents on that. I see you said read your comment earlier. Let me give you my 2 cents on that. This is just my 2 cents. This is my 2 cents. My 2 cents. Y'all ready for this lecture real quick? All right. I gotta move that real quick. Okay, my 2 cents on that. Okay, I understand that this is what really helps you as a teacher. I get it. I get it. I was a teacher like, ooh, if my advanced kids could just like help, there is power in it, but there's a huge but, and there's a huge but that I do not like about it. But what ends up happening is that advanced kid is now not pushed. And what ends up happening is those advanced kids, they just coast, coast. And this is why it's already harder. Did you know it is harder to grow a child that is above grade level than it is to grow a struggling child? Because a struggling child, there's no way but up, right? You have no option but to go up. But those advanced kids typically do not have growth. And so when you think about it in that sense, those advanced kids, they need to be growing at all times. So this is what I would suggest. Okay. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I already made you change your groups this week. But what I would suggest is to do it a little different, and make sure like there's always a benefit for that advanced child. And I know you're dealing with a lot of struggling readers. So this is what I would do. My little 2 cents for you is like, let's say you're in the middle of, you said true, you're so right, you can't do it all the time, absolutely. So what I would do is, let's say you're in the middle of a skill, right? Have your advanced child create some sort of lesson, like give them almost like a PBL, like not a PBL, but like some sort of project. Maybe they create a lesson. For example, your fourth grade. Fourth grade, I don't know why I was about to go to a math lesson. All right, fourth grade, main ideas, key details, right? Let's say they do a lesson, a digital lesson with either they're talking, they can do a PowerPoint presentation with their voice on it. They need to create some sort of lesson. They can do a Nearpod, they can do a Flipgrid, they can choose what they want to do, right? And they create a lesson based on main idea and key details, right? Or maybe they create a lesson on theme, whatever it is, whatever the subject is that you're talking about. And then that becomes while they're actually learning that skill, because you know that they're going to pick up on that skill a lot faster than your struggling readers. And then whatever lesson they created, you then use that lesson and give whatever digital presentation they created, then your other students get to watch that or get to do that. So then you're kind of building, knocking two birds with one stone. There's actually science that shows us we learn 80 to 90% of what we teach. So that creates an avenue of those advanced students teaching something that they're in the process of also learning. But your other students may not be there yet, right? So it's something that they can kind of save. You can save it. You have a bank. You might not be able to use it year after year if they have their face in it, but you can kind of use it. And then when your struggling readers get to the point where they're learning main idea and key details, hey, you need Susie, and I'm just throwing out a name, Susie's video. Here you go. I want you to go and watch this. And then that becomes a part of your differentiation. And your struggling reader is now onto something that they need. And then if you keep doing that, girl, you're going to have a whole bank of digital lessons that your kids can kind of use within each other. And you can really take it to another notch. And then when as students like do, like maybe they create some sort of test or assessment with it, kids love to be the teacher. Maybe they get to then grade it. And you can kind of create that environment, that teacher-led environment. But doing it like that allows those advanced kids to still get what they need. So that's what I would do. And that's just my 2 cents. But y'all like the idea. So great. Because I am super big on that, especially my last year teaching fifth grade was absolutely lovely. Oh my gosh. And now those babies are going off to college. Oh my God. Sorry. Had a moment. But my last year teaching fifth grade was probably my favorite. That year was absolutely amazing. But I had a lot of my students were on or above. Like I had a few that were below that year, but a few of them were like on fifth grade, they were reading like at fifth grade, sixth grade, reading level. And I was able to push them to like ninth grade reading level. And it's because I never allowed the opportunity for them to coast. Like it's harder. It's harder. It is harder, but you have to keep doing. And they like things that really don't involve you. So you could spend all your time on your struggling readers and have them doing projects. I had so many projects going all at the same time because I was able to do things with them that I wasn't able to do like with all of my EIP classes that I had before. So I was able to experiment with like projects and all of that good stuff and do a lot of different things. And I was in a lot of professional developments and I was just bringing everything back. But that hey, always keep them growing. And remember, it's harder to grow an advanced reader. So or advanced student period. So just keep them on the track of growth the same way you have your struggling students on the track of growth. All right. That I know y'all like, woo. All right. So all right. So I totally appreciate you guys' 2 cents on if we are making teachers do too much. You guys telling me if you are still feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and you're like, Asha, this is still too much. It's still too much. I love the tricks, but I'm still very overwhelmed. I'm still very stressed, and I want to find a way to prevent burnout. I want to tell you that that is possible. It is possible for you to have a highly engaging and effective classroom and also to go enjoy your weekends, drink a little, wine if you partake, enjoy your weekends, go bowling, go on dates, whatever it is that you want to do on your weekends. It is possible to have your nights to yourself and have a highly engaging classroom. It is possible to have differentiated activities and lessons in your classroom and not spend all night trying to create it. It is possible to have a work life balance and not feel burned out or overwhelmed. I want you to just take a moment and imagine having lessons that are already primed for engagement for children. Imagine having a weekly lesson planning system. When we went over the requirements of a teacher, a big part of that was creating lesson plans. So what if you already had lesson plans or a lesson planning system that saved you hours of planning each and every week? What if you had schedules, routines, transitions, management tools to allow you to be stress free, simplicity and clarity on what to teach, when to teach, and how to teach it? Effective reading professional development at your fingertips. If you don't know how to do something, at the click of a button, you will find out how to do it and how to do it with efficiency. What if you had high growth in your students that actually allowed them to not only hit their goals, but surpass their goals? And what if you felt not alone during this journey, but you felt supported by a professional? I want you to know it is possible to have all of that and more. All you have to do is just come to my workshop and allow me to not only teach you how to do it, but also show you what you can do to have all of that. In the workshop, I will be teaching you what everyone gets wrong about teaching reading and what to do instead. I'll be teaching you the game changing mind shift that will have your reading instruction run on autopilot, how to reimagine what's possible and come up with a system that's fun and simple because you have so much extra time on your hand, and also the one step you can implement to achieve high growth while working less. I'm actually doing this workshop, The 3 Secrets to Teaching Reading with Ease, live on Monday. It will be on Zoom. It will not be here on YouTube. So you do have to sign up for it, but it is free, a completely free workshop. 3 Secrets to Teaching Reading with Ease. It is going to be a more intimate workshop, so spots are limited. All you have to do is sign up. Sign up, come join us, spend your Monday afternoon with us. I know. I'm asking for your Monday nights along with your Saturday morning, but I'm wanting you to help you prevent burnout so that you can teach with ease. I truly, truly, truly believe it in my heart that all of this is obtainable. I've seen it, I've done it, I've been able to achieve it, my clients have been able to achieve it, and it is possible. So I have the the link in the chat box and also in the description for you to join us this Monday. This Monday, mark your calendar. This Monday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as I teach you how to discover the secrets to getting your reading instruction to run on autopilot so that you can teach with ease. And it's really great because that workshop also comes with a workbook that you can use to take your notes. It's already editable for you. So it's all yours. It's all yours. So your next step is to sign up for the workshop. If you haven't already, watch that classroom setup series, because in that series, I literally wrap up as much as I possibly can. Actually, I had somebody tell me that they feel like I over delivered this week, so that was a good feeling. But watch that classroom setup series about how to get children motivated to fall in love with learning, your whole group, small group, and data driven instruction. It was hard to talk about, our topic today without mentioning that. And I will see you on Monday. And don't come by yourself. Bring a friend to the workshop with you. Can't wait to see you guys there. Question in the chat box. You said, do you have a project videos? Tell me what you mean. Tell me what you mean. You mean like the projects that I would give my students? I necessarily didn't have videos. Like I would do it. Like I would. What do you mean? Explain that. You mean like projects of me giving them the instructions? Because a lot of times I would have the instructions like on sheets of paper, and I would always have a rubric. Always have a rubric. Always have a rubric. But my rubrics are very simple and trying to straight to the point. And one grading tip, and I could share this another day, but I would grade on the spot. Like I'm telling y'all, all about systems. I had a grading system because I hated grading, absolutely hated grading. So I used a system where I would grade on the spot because I knew I wasn't going to do it. You said yes, project for the kids to do. Okay, so I didn't record videos of me giving them the project, but a lot of times I use projects that I found online, and they were simple projects, and I always had a project going on, always. And then for like in reading, the really good thing about reading is I used to do a lot of choice boards. I'm huge on choice boards. Huge on choice boards. In fact, even in my program, Teaching by Design, I know you're not in Teaching by Design, but I teach it within that how to create choice boards, and you only have to do that once a month. But within a choice board, there are certain projects that those advanced kids can be doing. So that's what my kids used to do a lot of times in reading. They would choose like the really complex task in there that would take them the entire month to create, versus my struggling readers would choose that basic stuff like the DOK1 or DOK2 level of activities. So that's what I would do during reading. And then okay, great. You use choice words. Awesome, awesome. So then with your choice words, if you just have like different projects with embedded within it, your advanced kids are naturally going to choose those. They just are. And then I would use other projects for like social studies, science. I always like for those projects, I would always send those home for science and social studies. But I would always allow them to be able to do it in school as well, because everybody didn't have that home support. So what I would do for that is during their independent group, they could choose to either do work on their project, and I would have all of the materials that they would need if they were doing it at school. And then if not, if they were doing it at home, then they would be doing the independent activity. So that's how I was like rotating between the two, and always able to have projects. Now I would have to find them. I would have to find my old phone. Like I have plenty of pictures of all the different projects. I mean, because I did fifth grade, so they used to have like 3D cells and some of everything. But then I like to do like a lot of presentations, a lot of research presentations that they would do, and I would grade as they're presenting. But I didn't do like regular presentations. And I know I'm going long, but I know another part of the teaching by design is I teach facilitation in there, and I give facilitating activities. And during those facilitating activities, a lot of those kids would lead themselves. And I also used to do the same thing with presenting. So I never would have a kid go up one at a time because that wastes a lot of class time. But I would do ways where there was like 10 kids all presenting at the same time, and I just walk around and grade on the spot, and then they would swap. So I used to do a lot of things like that. It's all about systems. systems, finding ways to work smarter, not harder. And that's kind of how I did the project presentation part. But a lot of my projects, I did find simple things online and things that I would just think about because naturally I'm a very creative person. And so that's what I would do. And for reading, like I said, I would embed those type of activities within the choice board because all of those type of activities are going to be like DOK 3 or DOK level 4 type of activities. And DOK is like depth of knowledge for those that don't have never heard that term, but it's just the complexity of an actual task. So that's what I would do. Hope that helps. Bonnie said rubrics are great and easy. Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me live or watching the replay. Don't forget about Monday. We won't be here on YouTube, but we will be live on Zoom. I can't wait to officially meet you guys. Those of y'all that want to turn on your camera, bring any questions that you may have. Have big news coming out. I mean, I feel like I kind of hinted to it this week, but the doors will be officially opening into Teaching by Design. I know you guys have heard about it, so can't wait to welcome all of y'all into it officially. Officially, he said, "Have a great day, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend, people, and I'll see you guys Monday at the workshop. See you later."